Hey guys, welcome back to the Project Barn. I wanted to show you something I picked up since I've gotten into machining a couple years ago. The metrology side of it has become a real rabbit hole. When I was just primarily doing woodworking, 1/16 of an inch was perfectly acceptable. If I got my line cut within a 1/16 of where I intended it to be cut, I was happy with that. But it's not the same in the metalworking shop. You start out hoping to get close to a thousandths, and then before you know it, you're chasing 10 thousandths, which is that fourth number after the decimal point to the right. And then once that happens, you want to be able to measure things very, very accurately. So I had been wanting a surface plate probably for about 3 months, and didn't want a cheap plate made offshore, and didn't want a thin plate. I wanted a sure enough nice surface plate, or at least as nice as I thought I could afford. And I found this one on eBay. It came out of a lab. They had two of them that they were auctioning, and I actually purchased it from the gentleman who had attended the auction and got them. And he wanted them for the rolling racks that they came on, the Starrett racks. He was going to use them in his sign shop or his welding shop. He wasn't going to use them associated with any metrology, but he wanted the nice racks. So I got me a $3,000 surface plate for about 300 bucks. I don't really think they quite understood what they were, to be honest with you. It's got a few little dings on it, but I've taken a stone and run across it a few times and got everything knocked down. And the best I can tell, it's a very accurate surface plate. And in fact, it was certified a couple years ago, and this is an AA plate. They certified it to the A standard, which is absolutely fine for building steam locomotives and oddball tools that I'm building in my machine shop. But I wanted to show you what we've gotten, and you'll be seeing this thing used. I built a nice little rolling cabinet for it, wooden cabinet in my woodworking shop, and it's got a drawer where I have my drafting supplies, some measuring tools, and then below I've got my gauge pins and gauge blocks, height stand. And then I just today got home from a little trip we made, and I had also picked up a big score for me on eBay. I wanted a cylinder square. I'd seen several machine channels on YouTube using their cylinder squares, and God, they're pretty. And to zero out some of my tools and get everything parallel, it appears that a cylinder square is the best way to, at least at my level of expertise, to start out. I want to show you what I got. So when we got home, and by the front door, I had this well-packaged set of cylinder squares. It was in a cardboard box, but then opened it up, and it looks like to me this is probably a homemade set of cylinder squares. But I've checked them, and the highest variance I can get, laying them in a horizontal format or a vertical format, is approaching right at 1/10, not quite 1/10 of a thousandths. And I've measured them I was probably spending an hour measuring them with the equipment that I have and sweeping them, and they are absolutely gorgeous. It's a match set. And I was looking at cylinder squares on eBay, and these actually were listed while I was looking, and had only been on eBay for about 60 seconds when I started studying them. And the gentleman selling them, I'm pretty sure he knew what he had and what they were, because he had a really good description of them with some measurements that he had taken, and it gave me enough confidence to pull the trigger on them. But as you see, they are gorgeous. There's no pitting, no rust, and they're just finely made. I can't find any markings on them that a manufacturer would have put on them. There's some scratched markings on this one that say 20 microns or 20 M. So I guess I'm just guessing at what that means, but it's in all four quadrants. So it was like they were measuring them as they spun them. But if you turn them, it just sings. So you know they're sitting on this plate flat, and and then the precision of them is just gorgeous. I like the handmade box, so I'm sure you're going to see me using these. If you guys want a video on that displays these more in use and how they're going to be used, and why machinists want cylinder squares, let me know, and I'll try to do that. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm learning with you guys, but I'll be glad to elaborate on these any way I can. I'm right now, what I'm using to sweep is a Starrett surface gauge, and then I've got a Starrett tenths indicator. That's 0.0001 is each hash mark, and so that's plus or minus 5 thousandths is a full sweep in either direction, and that's how I measured these. I want to build me one of these with a circular front end, and that's really a more useful tool probably. But I've also got a set of gauge blocks and pin gauges, and the gauge blocks I've been using on the surface plate to measure a comparison measurement. And I think that's how I'll use the surface plate the most, is doing comparison measurements between gauge blocks and parts from my locomotive, or 2 or more parts for the locomotive, measuring them and seeing how close they are to each other in size, and make sure I'm hitting my dimensions that I need to hit. But that's the update for this Saturday, and really look forward to you guys joining me on this journey. I'm going to try to make some really good videos. I've upped my game. I've got a tripod now. I've got a lapel mic coming in, and I really need you guys to hit that subscribe button. Well, guys, thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I know this wasn't your typical let's get out the lathe and the milling machine and start making some chips video, but I wanted to catch you up on something I was excited about, and I hope you are too. I also wanted to kind of tell you where we're heading with the channel. I'm a project guy. I absolutely have to be doing a project. For 25 years, I had an aircraft maintenance shop, and when I sold that, I needed something to keep my mind occupied. And so I bought this little building and developed what I think is a really nice woodworking shop and machine shop. And my most recent project's building a virtual pinball machine. It's a full-scale pinball table, 3 video monitors. It's got about 200 tables installed in it because it's software driven. And most people don't realize for the first 30 seconds they're playing it that they're looking at a TV screen instead of the actual real pinball machine. I followed that up with a Galaga stand-up arcade machine. I've got a 1968 Buick Skylark convertible that my wife drives that we restored. We just a couple years ago had the side blow off of our truck camper that we bought 40 days prior, and so we replaced the entire side of the laminated covering that goes on the side of a camper, where it had delaminated and had moisture damage under that. So that was a 2-month project probably. I want to buy a hit and miss engine. My dad and I used to go to the country fairs and just drool over the hit and miss engines, basically the way they sounded. And so I would like to get a hit and miss project and do a complete tear down restoration on it, make it look like new. And that's generally the genre I go in. I like things that are indistinguishable from when they were new when I get done with them. Be it the virtual pinball machine that's indistinguishable from an actual pinball machine, or a 1968 Buick Skylark that has the original stickers on the radiator cap and in the door jamb and the original style owner's manual. That's just the genre I like. I'm not a hot rodder, and I wanted it to look like I remembered it as a kid, possibly as you remembered these things as a kid. So let me know what you want to see. We'll press forward the locomotive. That is the project that is going on, and it's a long project. So I can't do it every day I'm at the shop without getting bored with it. So we want to intersperse it with some other things. and your suggestions will play into that. Thanks again for being with me today. I hope you have a great day. And hit the subscribe button. We're 33 subscribers away from 500. I want to hit that mark. Thanks again.